We're looking at Whitewater Brewing Company here on the UK Brewery Project. Bernard Sloane was a chemical engineering consultant who had moved from Northern Ireland to England for work. Whilst in England, he discovered a large variety of cask ale beers available and the different styles which weren't often found in Northern Ireland, such as golden ale. He decided he wanted to get into brewing, and after a very brief spell at Nigerian brewery, but I can't find anything more about, he returned to Northern Ireland in 1994. And with his wife Kerry, set about founding Whitewater Brewing Company on their 5th generation family farm in Attical in County Down, which was just in the shadows of Mourne Mountains. They made use of grants along with their own funds to purchase and install an 800-litre brew tank into the converted old potato shed on the farm. Whitewater Brewery's first brew was in 1996 and it was called Mountain Ale. Sadly, this is no longer produced, but one of their early creations, which is still being produced today, is the Belfast Ale. And so, as is tradition, I'm going to crack open that earliest beer that I can find. It's not that one, it's this one. There we go. Oop, a lot of smoke there. I'm not sure if the ales are bottle conditioned. They might well be, so I'll be careful pouring this one. So this is an amber ale. Very big head on it, so it might well be bottle conditioned, and it may have been shook about a bit. There we go. But it's nice and clear, and it's, yeah, amber in colour. It's got a sort of darker than lager colour at that stage. Malty, very malty nose. Let's just tuck in and see what it tastes like. That is, surprisingly, it's got a nice bit of sweetness to it. That's a really good sweetness. Just gonna have a quick read. They've used 3 different hop varieties to create, it says, a distinctive bitterness and smoothness. It's definitely smooth. I wouldn't say there's much bitterness to it. That is, yeah, a little bit of bitterness, but not massive at all. That is more sweetness to it and smooth. That's actually very enjoyable session beer. So at their early stages, Whitewater were only producing cask ales, and Bernard and Kerry still had day jobs. So brewing took place in the early hours and on weekends. Sadly, selling cask ale to pubs across Northern Ireland was challenging, and there wasn't a huge sale growth in the business for the first decade. There was, like, indeed an increase, but it was a more gradual increase than a lot of other breweries that we've looked at. By the early 2000s, Bernard had managed to sign up quite a few pubs in a 30-mile radius of the brewery to distribute to. They also purchased the White Horse, a 200-year-old pub in Saintfield, a town which is about 25 miles north of the brewery, about 30 minutes from Belfast city centre. The biggest change for the brewery actually came about in 2006, 10 years after they first started. They, by then, had upgraded to a 2,000-litre barrel kit, and this was the year they installed a bottling line. Now, the bottling line opened up a much, much bigger audience for them, as they were able to sell to pubs that didn't serve cask beers, along with off licenses. They also branched out into making lagers, with the first one being Belfast Lager, which I have here. It's worthwhile sort of reiterating a point I made in the Heaney Brewery episode, that breweries in Northern Ireland are unable to do direct sales, either online, takeaway at the brewery, or tap rooms. Although thankfully, this is all to change on the 1st of April due to changes in the licensing law. But where they were at that stage in 2006, it was all about producing bottles to send to the off-trade to sell, along with selling to pubs, and not direct sales. With their beers now being sold in bottles, their name was spreading across Northern Ireland, the Republic, and mainland Britain. It wasn't long before the bottles were actually on the shelves of the big three supermarkets in Northern Ireland. To keep up with the growing demand, the brewery was continually having new equipment added, and by about 2013 had 7,000 litre brewing capacity and were producing about 350,000 bottles a year. And they were now also exporting these beers overseas to mainly European markets such as France and Italy. That's a good beer, but what I'm going to get into is another one of their beers. And this time, it's going to lead us on to changes that were going to happen for the brewery. I'm going to be opening up Maggie's Leap. Now, as you can see, this is in can. And I will explain a bit more about that in the next section. But for the moment, let's get this poured out and into a glass. So Maggie's Leap, it's an IPA and it's 4.7%. So it's listed, I think, as a session IPA. This beer was first launched in 2015. And as I say, it was originally in cask and bottle, but they now do it in draft, so on keg and in can. Right, let's have a look at it. Obviously nice and clear, lots of carbonation rolling up. Oh, lovely, lovely head, just as you expect. So this is like New World hops. So I think it's got some New Zealand hops in there. A bit of grapefruit on the nose. Let's get in and taste this. That's, again, very smooth, the water. Very smooth, very, very smooth. There's carbonation there rolling round. This is a very light citrus level to it. A small amount of hop bitterness at the end, but just the water quality that's going into this, that is so smooth, and definitely a session beer. I think it feels too easy to drink, too easy to drink. Lovely citrus flavours, but light, but a lovely grapefruit nose as well to go with it. That is a very decent beer, which I can see it's one of their most populars at the moment. In 2016, with all the additional brewing equipment they had added over the years, the brewery was sort of running out of space to expand. So Bernard and Kerry began a search in County Down to find a new location which they could move their brewery to. A brownfield site was found in Castle and Whelan, where they built their 15,000 square foot new brewery. They installed a canning line, kegging facilities. They had a new sort of automated brewery set up, and they built a visitor centre as well. The new brewery capacity, so they're capable of producing about 40,000 litres of beer a month. That's well over 70,000 pints. And to sort of ensure consistency of their brews, they sourced spring water from Mourne Mountains, as obviously the new brewery was about 8 miles away from the mountains where they were originally brewing. And as I said, I made that comment about the water. The water quality in here is amazing, and it's because it's spring water. It does just add that extra softness to the beer. They moved into their new brewery premises in about 2017, and that's when Maggie's Leap here became available in cans and kegs alongside its bottles and cask. In 2017, with the move to their new brewery, they actually ended up selling the White Horse pub. Now this could be because of money needed for the the brewery, new brewery. I've seen estimates stating the new brewery cost around £2 million, but some of the funding for that was provided by the Northern Ireland Business Development Agency as grants and loans. As you would expect, part of the aim of moving to can was the export market, and exports certainly increased at that stage. They had exports going to Russia, China, Japan and United States alongside the existing European countries, plus some additional European countries. Now, Russia was their largest market outside the UK, So I'm hoping the business won't be impacted too much with the current global events, particularly as they were only just recovering from COVID, which actually stopped them from shipping to Europe. The brewery now employs 9 people, and having their own canning line has given them the opportunity to venture into other areas, which they've done with the launch of their low and no alcohol seltzers. What I'm going to do, before I go on to their core beers, I'm going to crack open another one of their beers. And so I've done an amber, I've done an IPA. I think it's time to go on to a lager. So I'm going to go for their new can Helles lager that they've got, and get a glass out, and let's get this out and see how their lagers are tasting. All right. Big head developing on that one, not been shaken about. Again, very clear. A lot of carbonation coming up, but I'm just trying to work out if it is the glass. No, this glass doesn't have any etching on it, so definitely natural carbonation building up there from the beer. So nicely carbonated. It's not too pale a colour. It's actually a nice darker golden colour on the lager, which is good, meaning probably more malty. Right, let's get in and try and have a taste with the huge head and get some liquid. Oh, wow. Yeah, that is nice. That's really good. They've for a Helles, they've hit that bang on the mark. That is a beautiful, beautiful lager. It has that subtle additional flavours in there, not just tasting of it like a Euro lager, not metally, not tinny either. It's just a nice amount from the hops that are added in there, and the malt is perfectly balanced. Yeah, that is really, really good. I'm thoroughly impressed with their beers at this stage. So core beers, right? So obviously Belfast Ale here, which is their 4.5% amber ale. You've got the Belfast Lager, which is 4.5% also. They do a Belfast Black, which obviously is a stout, 4.2% it comes in at. The Helles Lager, which is 4.2%. The Maggie's Leap, which is 4.7%. Then they have, I've got it on the table, I know I have, U Rebel, which is a 7% IPA, and I'm looking forward to that one. Not open it now, I want to sip and enjoy that. They also have next to it here the Bees Endeavour, which is a golden ale that has honey and ginger added to it, and this is 4.8%. They also have something called Hopple Hammer, which is a triple hopped IPA, which is 6%. And then over here, I've got their Hencock and Pigeon, which is a 4.8% red. They also do a red in can called Hallion Red, which is 4.2%. Special wise, there are seasonal specials, such as their Creme de la Kremlin, which is a 10.5% Russian Imperial Stout. They also done a barrel-aged version of it called Celtic Christmas, which seemed to be made only for the Swedish market at that stage. They also had one called Observatory Pale Ale. They had a Hellcat IPA, Stripped Back Lager. They've produced many alongside their core ones here. And obviously you can see some of them are more along the lines of pale ales and lagers at that stage. Award-wise, in 2019, their Creme de la Kremlin won the regional fork at the Great Taste Awards. So they were actually the first craft brewery to have won that award. U Rebel won silver. I don't know what category though, but they won silver at the European Craft Beer Festival in 2019. I don't know if that was overall or if that was in the stronger IPA category at that stage. What you can sort of see is Whitewater is certainly a brewery that is willing to adapt to the market changes, as can be seen from their being cask only in a country that didn't drink cask and were drinking Harp or Guinness, to going into bottling to get the export market, then launching more adventurous beers such as Imperial Stouts, using New World hops, and then their move into seltzers. They've certainly adapted over the 25 years that they've been in existence, and they've still stuck with some of the core beers that got them there, but they've added to the range, which is always great to see. A brewery that doesn't just stay with what they feel comfortable with, but are always looking to seek and move into new areas. And with that, I shall bid you farewell, and I shall see you in the next UK Brewery Project. Take care, everyone.